Hello everybody, welcome in to Trackalicious. Hope you have been having a good Monday so far. Maybe having the day off for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, maybe not, but it is now time to enjoy some GT4 Rookies action in the New Year Championship. We are in round number 3 this evening around the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit with the qualifying session getting underway very shortly here, and it is a very tight championship up to this point. We've got 4 drivers within a point of each other at the top of the standings, and they are looking to go for some close racing this evening here at Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit. Let's head to the track itself and catch up with the action. Chris Saunderson rolling out of the pits in the number 18 Audi with 15 minutes on the clock for this session. And Chris Saunderson, a race winner from last week at Watkins Glen, joining the list of 4 drivers who have won a race this season so far. And there have been 4 different races and 4 different race winners, making the championship at the top extremely tight. John Kilcoyne and Dr. Porkchop tied on points at the top with 41 points apiece. And then you have Chris Saunderson, who we just saw in the Audi, tied with the chat favorite João Pedro Barreto in the Manga Racing number 6 AMG. They are both tied with 40 points, one behind the Aston Martin duo of John Kilcoyne and Dr. Porkchop. 8 rounds in the championship, 2 completed so far. You join us here for round number 3 at Indianapolis. Going on to the banked section before cutting back in for turns 14. It's tight left-hander before getting back onto the speedway. And starting the first qualifying lap is the number 6 AMG of JP Barreto. Let's ride on board with him as he takes us for a tour around this 2.5-mile track. Some around the famous Brickyard Speedway, a lot of it through this infield section. Turn 1, a tight right-hander before slowly getting on the power for turn 2. Pretty much flat out through this kink at turn 3 before a pretty tricky braking zone at turn 4. You really need to get some good braking technique into that corner. Flat out through the kink at turn 5. Tight hairpin at 6. Very tricky to find the apex before lining it up for turn 7. A very important corner to get the exit correct as it enters onto this little straightaway, the second longest on the track, before a tight 90-degree left-hand corner. A good overtaking opportunity coming into turn number 8 here. 9, 10, and 11 sweep one into the next before entering back onto the speedway as he has the Camaro in front. That is Douglas in the 718. Going through turn 12 and into the hard braking zone of 13. Another good overtaking opportunity here as JP Barreto takes a lot of curb and into the Camaro. Goes the AMG, but able to keep it under control there before finishing out the lap, having to lift off a little bit before entering onto the speedway. And what will the time be for JP Barreto? Certainly not the fastest we will see, as there was that incident at the end there as he goes across the line. A 147.370 from him. John Kilcoyne goes to the top with a 145.94. You've got Bottini slotting into second place in the Ginetta. And Vladimir Beluga sets a valid lap about 1/10 behind JP Barreto's. Where will Prakash Natasan finish here in the standings. A little bit further back, but a reminder that the GT4s do not have any tire warmers, so it might take a few laps before we see the times, the representative times for the grid rally Dutchy. And I agree, Blanche, one day the Ginetta Swarm will be back. And yes, it is just the lone KTM tonight, with Hezzy Thomas in the number 59 getting on the board in 7th place there at the front of shot. Rally Dutchy gets ahead by just 0.02 of a second. Still waiting 4 times from him. Douglas, Luksha, and Frere. Ransom serving a qualifying ban in race number 1, but he will be lined up and ready to go on the grid. So we will see just where he will finish. JP Barreto across the line for his 2nd time lap. Might be a little bit more representative here. Goes to the top, clears John Kilcoyne by exactly 1 second with a 1:44.940 on the board. Where will John Kilcoyne go? Does he have a response to this? Improves his time by about 1/10.5, but still needs 8.5 tenths to find the time to get past JP Barreto at the front. And Natasan across the line with Chris Saunderson behind. Natasan goes to 3rd. Where will Saunderson go? He moves up to 6th place with a 1:46.485 on the board from the Audi driver. Here comes the KTM for lap number 2. Can Hezzy Thomas get an improvement coming up to the line? Not on this lap. Still 8 minutes left, about halfway into the session here, as Rally Dutchy improves up to 6th behind Dr. Porkchop, who sits currently inside of the top 5. Vladimir Beluga in the AMG. The number 5 approaching a bit of traffic in front and has John Kilcoyne behind as well. And there's the Aston just cutting through the track, cutting through the traffic before having to slow down and return to the pit lane. Beluga just keeping it within track limits there, but a little bit of time lost going wide at 14. Unfortunately, unable to improve his time on this lap, but still time left in the session. Yes, Blanche, please return. We need the Ginetta Swarm back. I remember the day that co-commentator Tyler Morgan got swarmed by all the Ginettas on track. That was certainly a fun day. As Luksha gets into the top 10 ahead of Christopher Douglas by about 0.2 of a second in the number 43 AMG. Dr. Porkchop improves to the front row, gets ahead of John Kilcoyne to be the best Aston Martin on the grid, but still a lot of time needed to be gained to catch up to JP Barreto at the front. 0.7 clear of Dr. Porkchop. Giancarlo Bottini leading the Ginettas, sitting inside the top 5. Looking for a good lap here, as Beluga in front of him, who kindly moves over to the side there, allows the Ginetta to go through. So where will this lap put Giancarlo? improves by about a tenth, but still needs a tenth and a half to try and get onto that second row alongside John Kilcoyne and ahead of Prakash Natasan. Speaking of, Prakash to the line, improves his lap by about 1/100th of a second, making increasing the gap to the P5 sitter Giancarlo Bottini. We've seen some drivers return back to the pits, get a fresh set of tires on the car, and they begin their outlaps back onto the track, getting the tires once again up to the correct operating windows to set their timed laps. Gabriel Freyre looking to do that in the number 27 McLaren, sitting in 9th, about a 10th behind Vladimir Beluga. And that is the driver currently ahead of him on track at the moment as well. Just ahead of this group is Giancarlo Bottini as well on a valid lap. Hello, Doc. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. You join us with 3 3/4 minutes left in the first qualifying session of the evening. Giancarlo Bottini up ahead of this group to the line. He moves up to 3rd. Beluga can't improve the time. Where will Gabriel Freyre go? He slots ahead of Beluga there and moves up to the 4th row alongside Chris Saunderson. Prakash Natasan with a big improvement all the way up to the front row, gets ahead of the Aston Martin of Dr. Porkchop, the Ginetta of Giancarlo Bottini, and the Aston Martin of John Kilcoyne to find himself alongside fellow AMG driver JP Barreto on the front row. Chris Saunderson currently sitting in 7th place in the 18 Audi out of the final corner. It is pedal to the metal all the way to the line, and he can't find an improvement on his time here. Just a few hundredths off of his personal best. Still time for 2 laps for Chris Saunderson. Just over 2 minutes remain in our first qualifying session of the evening, with drivers back out on track trying to get those crucial improvements at the last minute. Dr. Porkchop being one of those, race winner from the first week at the Nürburgring. Currently tied with points at the top of the standings and currently sits in 3rd place in the 71. Needs about 2/10 to get ahead of Natasan to secure himself a position on the front row as Natasan returns to the pits. So 2nd will be the highest that the AMG will go. Can Dr. Porkchop take that position away as he comes up to the line with 90 seconds to go? He gets ahead of him by 2/100ths of a second to take a front row spot alongside JP Barreto. Does John Kilcoyne in the sister Aston Martin car have a response? He does, but he himself is 2/100ths behind Natasan. That is super close between Dr. Porkchop and John Kilcoyne from 2nd to 4th place, separated by just 5/100ths of a second. Next driver across the line, Hezzy Thomas, looking to move up inside the top 10 and can't quite improve on his personal best that lap. Chris Saunderson behind, can't find an improvement as well. Beluga here finding himself in some good clean air. 30 seconds left in the session, about half the field in the pits as it stands. Dr. Porkchop and Natasan from second and third. Then you have Bottini and Rally Duchy, the two Ginettas that make up the third row for the time being in the pits, with Luksha, Douglas, and Ransom joining them as well. Beluga, though, on track in 9th place, looking to get the improvement, and just can't quite find it, I don't think, here. As he comes up to the line, that will be the session done, but it is a 9th place for Vladimir Beluga. John Kilcoyne, and does he have anything to say about the front row? Just needs 0.04 of a second to get ahead of Dr. Porkchop, and he can't find the time there. And JP Barreto unable to find an improvement on his personal best from his first outing on track, but it does not matter, as JP Barreto secures himself a pole position for race number 1 with a blistering lap in his first outing, a 1:44.940 from the number 6 AMG, the driver sitting in third in the championship standings. He's got lots of second place finishes on the season. Can he get a win here tonight at Indianapolis? The grid is set for race number 1. JP João Pedro Barreto on pole position in the number 6 Manga Racing AMG. He has had many podiums throughout the season. Can he secure that first win? Dr. Porkchop alongside him on the front row in the 71 Chop Shop Racing Aston Martin. He's got a race win at the Nürburgring, I should say, in round number 1. He knows what it takes to win. Can he deliver tonight in round number 3? Prakash Natasan lines up in third in the 82 Dark Side Racing AMG, and he will have John Kilcoyne for company in the number 44 Firebrand Aston Martin. Firebrand teammate Giancarlo Bottini in 5th in the number 57 Ginetta, and he leads an all Ginetta third row, with Rally Duchy behind in 6th in the Kuzata Racing Academy 621. Race winner from last week, Chris Saunderson, starting from 7th in the Allison Racing number 18 Audi. Next to him on the 4th row is Gabriel Frere in the Logitech McLaren G Challenge number 27. Vladimir Beluga leads the 5th row from 9th in the number 5 Beluga Racing Team AMG. Alongside him, Hezzy Thomas in the KTM, the 59 Dog Box Racing, getting a top 10 start. Just outside in 11th is Pavel Luksha in the 43 AMG Motorsports. Alongside him on the 6th row, Christopher Douglas in the 718 V8 Racing Camaro. Josh Ransom rounds out the grid. Not able to set a time in the qualifying, but he will start from the grid in 13th in the 325 Ginetta. Formation lap getting started here. Oh, and Douglas, unfortunately there, looks like having to return to the pits. So that will move Josh Ransom to 12th to start, as the grid gets rolling from their positions here. 4 p.m. local time. Some drivers complaining of the sun in the eyes at this hour. We'll see if that affects any of them throughout the 20 minutes of racing we have ahead. No clouds in sight. Beautiful temperatures. Should be a good one. Very tight qualifying times between Dr. Porkchop and John Kilcoyne. Second and fourth place separated by a little over 0.04 of a second. So it should be a very tight battle there between the two Aston Martins, the AMGs, as well of Barretto and Natasan. Then you've got Giancarlo Bottini and Rally Duchy. Both of those drivers know how to make up positions early on in the race. Can we see one of the Ginettas sneak up onto the podium tonight as well? Onto the back straight they go. Continuing to try and generate any sort of temperature and pressure into the tires. Of course, no tire blankets for these GT4s. So it is all up to the driver to get that Pirelli rubber in a good operating window. The high track temps should help that, but of course, hard racing is usually the best solution to that. So the two Aston Martins that lead the championship in first and second with 41 points start the grid from second and fourth. You've got JP Barretto starting from pole. He's in third place in the championship, but just 1 point behind, and still lots of racing to go. Side by side we go around the final corner before we see the green lights illuminate for the start of race number 1. A big run up to the lights, and they go green. The AMG of Barretto gets a good jump. Natasan, unfortunately, getting swarmed by the grid here, drops back to 6th already as the grid begins to move through. The two Aston Martins looking aggressive at the start. Dr. Porkchop just can't keep up with the speed of Barretto in front. He will maintain second place as the Ginettas, a little bit of sideways action from Giancarlo Bottini, but keeps the car under control. Chris Saunderson gets a great start. Oh, and there's contact between the AMG and the Audi. They are both getting stranded there as there are cars left and right all over the place. Beluga going off the road on the left-hand side. That was the McLaren of Freire going off on the right. Hezzy Thomas, great jump from the KTM up to 6th place. And Josh Ransom as well, getting a flying start from the back of the grid up to 7th behind Hezzy Thomas, and he is looking to challenge a move to the inside of turn 8. He goes, and the Ginetta gets the move done on the KTM. Can he hold it through the left or the right left sequence? He can for the time being. The KTM looking aggressive through turn 12 though. Or turn 11, I should say, still hanging on to the back of Josh Ransom for this 6th place position. And the KTM makes a late move, takes out the boards, and Josh Ransom able to get that move done as Hezzy Thomas has to slide back onto the track. Might have gotten in front of Beluga there just a little bit. But nonetheless, the drivers continue to circulate around. Not too much, or I should say not too much drama has happened apart from Saunderson and Natasan there, dropping back down the grid order just a hair, but everyone's still within touching distance. It is very close at the front as well. Barretto got a good jump from the start, and now it is up to Dr. Porkchop to find the race pace to stay close and use his racecraft to get past Barreto. But we've seen Barreto throw on fantastic defensive drives. Will this be a situation where Barreto has to defend for his life, or does he have his own race pace to show in the 6 AMG, the Firebrand Aston Martin of John Kilcoyne rounding out the podium as well, keeping within touching distance of Dr. Porkchop. And Giancarlo Bottini with a good start in the Ginetta. Both him and Rally Duchy moving up a few places from where they started. And how about that? Josh Ransom from the back of the grid up to 6th, making it the 3 Ginettas in a row here, all the way from Bottini to Rally Duchy, going through turn 13 and now 14, with Josh Ransom not too far behind them as well. Chris Saunderson has caught up to Vladimir Beluga, and he is chasing Pavel Luksha in this battle for 7th place between the 2 AMGs and Chris Saunderson in the Audi, the V10 roaring behind the 2 V8s. Luksha defending the inside up ahead. Can he hold on to 7th place? He's hanging on to the inside. Beluga goes deep into turn 1 though. Chris Saunderson takes full advantage and gets by the pair of them as Beluga going slowly back onto the track, unfortunately having a bit of traffic to let through there, but good sportsmanship from Beluga, not just getting back onto the track as quickly as possible, finding a good moment, and now we'll have to use that race pace to get onto the back of Luksha once again. Chris Saunderson taking full advantage, and Schofield, welcome in, Raiders. Hope you guys had a great stream. Welcome in, everybody, from the IB Schofield Racing Raid. Hope you guys are having a good night so far. You join us 5 minutes in to our first race of the night, where, and there's a bit of contact here between the AMG of Luksha and the McLaren of Friere. Should say you join us in a very tight race, despite just 13 drivers. Super tight and competitive field here. I may say rookies, but they compete like professionals. Certainly showing their racecraft on display here, as we have JP Barreto leading the way in the number 6 AMG, with Dr. Porkchop and John Kilcoyne keeping within touching distance, making the AMG drive honestly and consistency, trying to go mistake-free in the remaining 14 minutes of the race. Josh Ransom gets through Rally Duchy, and that is now a top 5 position for Josh Ransom after starting from the back of the field. How's it going, Mr. Schofield? How was the racing? How was your stream? So now, does Josh Ransom have the pace to catch up to fellow Ginetta driver Giancarlo Bottini, who has the fastest lap of the race, showing that the Ginettas certainly have the pace around here. Oh, wall rides at Mount Panorama, that's a good time as always. So the Ginetta has the pace behind. Once these Aston Martins begin to battle, they will start to slow themselves down and just ever so slowly bring in that Ginetta. There's the top 4 all in one shot, top 5 even, as Josh Ransom and Rally Duchy in fact come out of the final corner as JP Barreto starts breaking into turn 1 with the Firebrand Aston Martin of John Kilcoyne just not able to use the slipstream from Dr. Porkchop in the 71 ahead to get close enough into turn 1 for a good overtaking opportunity. Gabriel Frere looking to do just that. The McLaren somehow here just doesn't have the speed compared to the KTM. Quite surprising, as the McLaren is used to just blistering away. We saw it last week where the McLaren of Joe Kalile was just able to run away in any sort of defense thrown from the AMGs behind. Despite them getting close through the twisty bits, the McLaren running away, and there's a deep dive from Gabriel Frere down the inside of turn 6. Hezzy Thomas was expecting it, but he left just enough room for a car to sneak through, and now Gabriel Frere will try to use that top speed here down the back straight to run away and hold on to that 8th place position. This is the view from on board the lead Firebrand car in the last step of the podium, just behind Dr. Porkchop, and there is the leader up ahead in the purple AMG. Not too far ahead of this group. This is what the back of the leader's car is seeing. The two Aston Martins just lurking in the back there, not necessarily posing a threat, but still staying within touching distance, keeping the AMG honest. And I've said it once, JP Barretto has shown great defensive drives in the past. Will he have to do that tonight? Got the message from the race engineer. They're halfway into race number 1. Still 10 minutes to go as we have completed 5 laps around the Indianapolis Grand Prix. On lap number 6 is basically the entire field. They are still pretty close to one another despite the few incidents we've seen. Dr. Porkchop coming under pressure through Sector 3, but he's able to use his pace through Sector 1 and pull out a decent enough gap over John Kilcoyne for him to not be a threat into Turn 1 here, as John Kilcoyne looking to pull out and look a little bit more aggressively in the mirrors, but gets very close through the braking zone of Turn 1 and into Turn 2 and 3. Through Turn 4, though, kicks it onto the grass in a beautiful drift, but unfortunately slowing him down just a touch. Almost lined up for a move there, but just not a lot of room on the outside before the Aston Martin kicked up the grass and the rear end went a little loose. Lost about 3/10 in that process. But in the meanwhile, there was a mistake from JP Barretto, and this allows Dr. Porkchop to close in. And they are going to go side by side. Porkchop on the outside of 8, turns into the inside of 9, and that turns into the race lead for the 71 Aston Martin. And now we have an absolutely epic 3-car battle developing between JP Barretto in second, but down the inside of Turn 12 and into the braking zone of 13. The AMG trying to keep the lead. He doesn't go deep, and he takes the position back. After what looked like an incident from John Kilcoyne running wide, he might be the favorite exiting the final corner here. as he will have a double slipstream going into turn 1. But that AMG just really using the power to run away, and unfortunately for him, Dr. Porkchop also having the slipstream. Not sure what happened to Barreto there. He had a nearly 1.5 second lead over the two Aston Martins. And right as we cut back to the TV cams, once again, Dr. Porkchop getting very close to the back of the AMG. He almost did the same move that John Kilcoyne did in the last quarter, and putting a wheel onto the grass, but avoiding the same fate here as this trio remains very, very close to one another. And as they continue to trip over each other, this might really benefit the Ginetta of Giancarlo Bottini. And how about that great comeback from JP Barreto after losing the position through turn 8 and 9 here. Gets it back after exiting 11 and into the heavy braking zone of 13. Takes back the lead he has held from the opening lap. And now Josh Ransom finding a little bit of pace here. He's got the fastest lap of the race on his last lap. Just passing 4:20 local time here. 5 minutes, 50 seconds left on the clock in race number 1. JP Barreto leading the way in the 6 AMG. He lost the lead momentarily, but got it right back. Still has technically led every lap of the race. And he continued that momentum into the final quarter of the race. The two Astons are looking very racy behind, and the two Ginettas lurking in the back as well. Just trying to get the position, or get close, I should say, to be able to take advantage of any positions in front. John Kilcoyne trying to throw an inside move here, but Dr. Porkchop unfazed, confident on the brakes, maintains the spot ahead, and there's contact between the two of them! The Aston of Dr. Porkchop goes spinning around. This allows Giancarlo Bottini to take second place, and Josh Ransom takes advantage as well, gets ahead of the Aston Martin duo. No, JP Barreto losing it on the exit of turn 8. He lost the lead. It goes to Giancarlo Bottini. And it has all unfolded here in the last 5 minutes of the race. Giancarlo Bottini takes the lead. Josh Ransom from the back of the grid up to second. Dr. Porkchop in third. Great sportsmanship from John Kilcoyne. Knows he was at fault for that collision with the Aston of Dr. Porkchop and just allowed the Aston Martin to take the position back despite him losing a few positions. So that is great to see from the number 44. JP Barreto, though, he was all on his own there, and right as the cameras cut to him, he was in the grass on the exit. He's got Rally Dutchie behind for company, and the three Ginettas are looking very handsome inside the top 6 here. So Bottini leads by about 2 seconds over Josh Ransom, and then it's the two Aston Martins. Dr. Porkchop ahead of John Kilcoyne, looking to make a move. There's not a lot of room there, not a lot of overspeed there. John Kilcoyne trying to find the grip, sliding his Aston Martin through turn 8. Or turn 7, I should say, and it might be a 3-car battle as Dr. Porkchop goes through. Josh Ransom closing the door on John Kilcoyne to not allow the duo of Astons to get ahead, but Dr. Porkchop sneaks on through the inside of turn 8. We've seen that move from him before on JP Barreto. This time it's on Josh Ransom. Can he defend, though, into turn 13? Ransom has a deep look, as does John Kilcoyne. There's side-by-side contact. The two Aston Martins. Josh Ransom goes deep. He goes onto the grass and slides across the track. And that is Josh Ransom going from second now to sixth. The two Astons move up a position. Two minutes to go, 2 laps remaining. What else can happen in this race? And with all of this drama that's unfolded, John Kilcoyne still can't find a way past Dr. Porkchop. My goodness me. All of that battling has allowed Bottini to escape from second by about 4.5 seconds. Rally Duchy getting close to JP Barretto, challenging for 4th place. Can't quite sneak through the inside of turn 8. Just hear the V10 roaring of Chris Saunderson there. He's had a very up and down race. Started from 7th, got up as high as 3rd if I remember right, then had a slight incident, dropped him back down the field, and now recovered up to the position that he started. It has been a wild race for absolutely everybody involved, and with just 1 lap to go, Giancarlo Bottini leads the way after taking advantage of all of the drama around him to cleanly get on through and into the race lead. Behind him, Dr. Porkchop still having to defend from John Kilcoyne. This battle isn't over yet. And these two Astons have a comfortable gap to JP Barretto by about 5 seconds, who defended from Rally Duchy very well on the previous lap. Now Dr. Porkchop looking to hang on, just half of the lap remaining. Rest of the field going through turn 7 now. Kilcoyne not close enough to throw a move. Will it be the late dive into 13 where we've seen a few drivers throw that move before? Is this the opportunity that John Kilcoyne has left? Is he gonna throw the late move here? Out of turn 12 they go and onto the speedway. Which Aston will finish in front? John Kilcoyne throws the late move. He goes a little bit deep and onto the grass. Can't quite find the grip on the acceleration. He will have the inside for turn 14. He gets ahead. Can he stay ahead? Giancarlo Bottini up ahead will take the checkered flag and take the race win in race number 1. But the two Astons battling behind. Who will it be? It's John Kilcoyne ahead by 0.04 of a second. What a battle, what a fight. John Kilcoyne taking it at the last braking zone. JP Barretto with a 4th place finish. Rally Duchy in the top 5. Josh Ransom with a good race starting from the back to 6th. Chris Saunderson up and down race from him, but finishes the race where he started in 7th. Gabriel Frere across the line in 8th. Hezi Thomas defending from Natasan at the end here. He will finish in 9th with Prakash Natasan rounding out the top 10. Paolo Luksha takes the checkered flag in 11th place, and Vladimir Beluga next across the line in the number 5 AMG. Had some good battles from Beluga in the top 10 earlier on. And 12th will be where he finishes. And last but not least, Christopher Douglas, unfortunately having to start from the pits there in the 718, takes the checkered flag in 13th place. Crazy race from start to finish. There you see the gap between the two Astons at the end, 39 thousandths of a second. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Green light, give it all you can.
And if that was not enough for you, let's do it again. 15-minute qualifying session. Qualifying number 2, 5 p.m. local time, sun setting here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Using the Grand Prix layout for our GT4 rookies this evening. 2.5 mile track, 15 corners. You've seen it once, and let's do it all over again. So with Giancarlo Bottini taking the race win in race number 1, that mark makes 5 different race winners to start the season. Just to show you how close this championship is. And lots of different manufacturers being represented as well. There's the 2 Astons of Dr. Porkchop and John Kilcoyne. Then you've got Bottini getting a race win in the Ginetta. Last week we had Chris Saunderson in the Audi take a race win, as well as Joe Kalile in the McLaren. So it has been very good racing from all of the different manufacturers across the board. And not to mention the AMG of JP Barreto. Very consistent finishing position. Finishes in 4th in that race. That is the first time that JP Barreto has finished off of the podium this season. And that shows you how consistent he is. And he currently sits in 2nd or 3rd place in the championship as well. Of course, lots to consider. 8 races throughout this season and 1 drop round to consider as well. So still a long way to go in the grand scheme of things, but it is very fun to keep an eye on it. And a quick glance at how the point systems work. For the race win, you get 23 points. 2nd place, 20. 3rd place gets 18. 4th, 17. And then it is 1 point down all the way down the grid, down to 20th place. So those are the points on offer for the GT4 rookies. It is very important also to see the checkered flag to get those points on the board. As we head back to the track, JP Barreto going through turn 6. Looking to get some laps on the board here. That was race 1. Race 1 was awesome. Lots of action at the start. The middle still provided a good close racing, but not quite as much as the last 5 minutes did. So if you do have the time, at some point, certainly recommend rewatching that one. Lots of position changes at the end. As we still await our first times on the board in the 2nd qualifying session. Oh, nice. Thanks for doing that, Blanche. All right, times on the board. JP Barretto, a 1:45.937. That is the time to chase down. Next, you've got Chris Saunderson and Christopher Douglas on the board. Can Beluga get a time as well? Going into turn 13 now, just a few corners left for the number 5 AMG and the number 27 McLaren coming into shot there. Exiting the final corner. Rally Dutchy on the board, and Beluga gets on the board in 4th. Gabriel Frere, unfortunately, on an invalid lap. There no time yet for the lone McLaren on the grid. Dr. Porkchop next, third place finisher from race number 1, gets onto the top spot. Provisional pole for the number 71 Aston Martin. A 3:82 is the time to chase. Let's see where John Kilcoyne will finish in these very provisional standings as it stands. Like we said, the GT4s don't have any tire warmers, so it might take a few laps to get up to the right temperature and pressure. But John Kilcoyne gets up to the tippy top of the standings, about 3/10 ahead of Dr. Porkchop with a 1:45.107 being the provisional pole time. Rally Dutchy finishing in the top 5 in race 1, currently sitting in 4th place in the 621 Ginetta. And it is a good improvement from Rally Dutchy as well on this lap. Prakash Natasan started in 3rd in race number 1. Where will he go here in the second qualifying session? Josh Ransom able to partake in qualifying too, and he goes up to 3rd in the 325 Ginetta. JP Barretto in 4th, Rally Dutchy 5th, Gabriel Frere in 6th, Chris Saunderson in 7th, Beluga 8th, and here Prakash Natasan for the time being in 9th place. Then Hezi Thomas in 10th, Luksha in 11th, Christopher Douglas in 12th, and Giancarlo Bottini, race winner from race one, still without a time on the board. Natasan going up to the line and up into the top 5 for Prakash. And there's Bottini behind, takes 4th place away from JP Barretto, pushes him down to 5th, which then pushes Prakash Natasan down to 6th place. Two Astons on the front row, 2 Ginettas on the second row, 2 AMGs on the third row. So far, it is an all-manufactured grid lockout. Will that change in the last half of the qualifying session? Dr. Porkchop sits 3/10 behind fellow Aston Martin driver John Kilcoyne. Looking to improve to the top spot. Already has a front row spot, but he wants the top. Can he get it? Coming out of the final corner, carrying all of the speed he can. He gets within a 10th, but still 68 milliseconds separate the two Aston Martins. John Kilcoyne is still leading with a 1:45.107 from the Firebrand Aston. And can his Firebrand teammate in the Ginetta find the time to get onto the front row? Currently in 4th, next to Josh Ransom. And Bottini does improve his time, but not his position. Improves the gap to the drivers behind. Five and a bit minutes left on the clock as Gabriel Frere goes through the end of Sector 2, looking to improve his position from 8th. We'll ride from the passenger seat of the McLaren. Oh, and he goes deep into turn 13. That will invalidate the lap. And back to the pits goes the number 27. The number 18 Audi in 9th, Chris Saunderson. Needs about 0.6 of a second to get ahead of Gabriel Frere. And now Vladimir Beluga, as the number 5 AMG gets a good time on the board to get inside the top 10. Chris Saunderson going flat out of the final corner, trying to carry all of the speed he can into the line. Saunderson improves the time, gets close to Frere, but can't improve his position ahead of the McLaren driver. Prakash Natasan able to get ahead of JP Barretto to be the best AMG on the grid for the time being. And John Kilcoyne with a huge improvement on his lap time. He is now 0.8 clear of Dr. Porkchop. Does the pole sitter from race 1 have a response here in the number 6? Barretto approaching a little bit of traffic there. That's the 718 of Christopher Douglas. Fortunately, no improvement on this lap from JP Barretto. And Chris Saunderson to the line again. This time he gets a big jump up the standings, moves up 3 places, up to 7th. So he will line up in front of Rally Dutchy on the 4th row. And those two separated by 5 thousandths of a second. Great lap from Chris Saunderson. Gets ahead of Rally Dutchy. Needs another 4.5 tenths to get ahead of JP Barretto and spoil the AMG 3rd row. Josh Ransom sitting inside the top 3. Can he find a few tenths to get ahead of Dr. Porkchop and line up alongside John Kilcoyne? And Josh Ransom does improve his time by a little bit, but still needs a few tenths of a second. Get past that 71 Aston Martin, I should say. Just one lap remaining for a lot of these drivers coming up to the line. 20 seconds left. We see the 59 of Hezzy Thomas getting through the line there. He's got one lap left. Currently sitting in 11th. Needs about a second and a half to get ahead of Gabriel Frere, rounding out the top 10. As we see the McLaren driver there just behind Hezzy Thomas. Dr. Porkchop closing out his qualifying session, currently in second, and he runs wide at the final quarter, invalidating the lap. And no chance, unfortunately, there for Dr. Porkchop to get ahead of John Kilcoyne. So second will be the best place that Dr. Porkchop can finish, unless the drivers behind on a valid lap have anything to say about it. Josh Ransom, the closest driver to him in the grid standings, about 2/10 behind, needs a good exit out of the final corner to get the jump on Dr. Porkchop. Can he do so coming up to the line? No, he can't. Can't improve on his personal best. And it's a party here with the 59 and the 27 on track together, looking to improve their times from 10th and 11th place. Hezzy Thomas in the KTM comes to see the checkered flag, a little bit heavy over the curb, bouncing the KTM over the road, but still gets an improvement coming up to the line. Is it enough to get ahead of Frere? It's not, because Gabriel Frere gets a huge improvement and moves himself all the way up to the second row. Good lap at the end there from Frere, nearly gaining a second on his personal best to line up in 4th place. So that is qualifying to complete. A shuffled up grid order from what we saw in race number 1. What will we see in the 20 minutes of action we have ahead? Let's go through the grid walk for race number 2. John Kilcoyne leads the way in the 44 Firebrand Aston Martin after taking 2nd place at the last lap. He will look to finish on the top step in race number 2. Can Dr. Porkchop, lining up next to him on the front row in 2nd, change that outcome? He got 3rd in race number 1 and tied on points with the Aston. Ahead of him, the Chop Shop Racing looking to get a mighty race number 2 here. Josh Ransom able to qualify, and he took full advantage of that. He lines up in 3rd place in the 325 TVR Ginetta, and we saw him use the pace in race number 1 to work his way from the back of the field all the way up to what was a podium position. Can he get that podium here in race number 2? Gabriel Frere, mighty lap at the end to line up alongside Josh Ransom in 4th. The 27 Logitech McLaren G Challenge, with that huge improvement at the end, slots in 4th place. Race winner in race number 1, Giancarlo Bottini in the 57 Firebrand Ginetta, starting inside of the top 5. He will have Prakash Natasan next to him in the Dark Side Racing 82 AMG. Next is the pole sitter from race 1, JP Barreto, finishing in 4th place. This time starts from 7th in the number 6 Manga Racing AMG. Alongside him, Chris Saunderson in the number 18 Allison Racing Audi. Those two make up the 4th row of the grid. Next, you have Rally Duchy in the 621 Kuzata Racing Academy. Ginetta starting from 9th with Vladimir Beluga, and we'll get that onboard lap sometime during the race, I promise. Beluga Racing Team number 5 starting from 10th. Then you got Hezzy Thomas in the number 59 Dogbox Racing KTM starting just outside the top 10 in 11th. And alongside him on the 6th row is Pavel Luksha in the 43 AMG Motorsports. Christopher Douglas able to take the grid this time. He will start from 13th place in the 718 V8 Racing Camaro. We'll get a sneak peek of what it's like on board Vladimir Beluga's car as he sits in 10th in between Rally Duchy and the Ginetta ahead of him and Hezzy Thomas in the KTM behind. At the front, it's the 2 championship leaders tied on points with 41 apiece. John Kilcoyne leads the way in the 44 Firebrand ahead of Dr. Porkchop in the 71 Chop Shop Racing. Qualifying times a little more stretched out than we saw in the first one. Do the cooler track temps favor any car over another here? Or have the drivers just warmed up enough after race 1 to get those improvements we saw in the qualifying session? It was epic racing between the 2 Aston Martins in race number 1. Will we see the same here in race 2? The grid getting lined up in zipper formation as they go through the beginning of Sector 3. 13 cars on the grid. No one starting from the pits. It is a 20-minute sprint from start to finish. Let's see what race number 2 will bring us tonight. 2 Astons at the front, Josh Ransom in 3rd, Gabriel Frere in 4th, race winner from race 1, Giancarlo Bottini 5th, Natsusan in 6th, and Barreto in 7th, Saunderson 8th. Lots of quick drivers scattered throughout the grid, ready for the lights to go green.
Green light, go, go, go.
And off we go. John Kilcoyne gets a monster start ahead of the grid. Dr. Porkchop, he's got the fast McLaren behind him, trying to take a position, flashing the lights away. Who will it be? Going into turn number 1, John Kilcoyne leads the way. Josh Ransom having a deep look. Now Dr. Porkchop sweeping through a bit of side-by-side contact, but they are still side-by-side through turn 3. Now the Ginetta has the inside through turn 4. Dr. Porkchop looking for the over-under move. Josh Ransom having none of it. He moves up a place to 2nd. Dr. Porkchop drops to 3rd. Giancarlo Bottini moves up a place to 4th. And Rally Duchy behind, gaining a lot of places after starting in 9th, all the way up to 5th for the 621 Ginetta. So John Kilcoyne gets a great jump, a 2.5 lead for him already ahead of Josh Ransom, who got the early jump over Dr. Porkchop, and now it's Giancarlo Bottini thinking of the move to get into that final podium position. It's JP Barreto actually trying for the over-under on Rally Duchy. That's a great move if he can make it stick. He's got the inside down the banking they go into turn 13. Gabriel Frere unfortunately getting shuffled out of 4th place down to 7th from the start. They're still side by side, and there are cars off the road up ahead. That's Dr. Porkchop. Giancarlo Bottini gets ahead into 3rd. Great move from Barreto to make it stick on Rally Duchy. Now Gabriel Frere has the inside for the final corner, and the McLaren looking to get the top speed over Rally Duchy in the Ginetta. And same with Barreto. He's going to line up a move down the inside of turn 1 over Dr. Porkchop. Oh, he thinks the better of it, just tucks in behind, and Gabriel Frere moves up a place past the Ginetta, just using that McLaren straight line speed to his advantage. Chris Saunderson maintains 8th, the position that he started. He is just behind Rally Duchy in this battle between the Audi, the Ginetta, and the McLaren up ahead. Vladimir Beluga behind, not too far in the background as well. So Josh Ransom looking to chase down the leader, John Kilcoyne, with Giancarlo Bottini looking to hang on to the podium position. Dr. Porkchop sends it down the inside of turn 8, and he gets the place ahead of the Ginetta, slots in front through turn 9, and now JP Barreto will look to do the same as they are battling behind. That's Rally Duchy getting past Gabriel Frere, but he's got the inside. It is hard to take your eyes off of any battle we have here. What's going on up ahead? Bottini loses 2 places in 1 lap. He now through 13 gets behind JP Barreto, and he is looking very quick up ahead, looking to get past the Aston Martin and into a podium position. Quick breather down the straight. And Chris Saunderson bobbing and weaving behind in the Audi, trying to find some space for a move. 2 different 3-car battles, slight bump from Barreto onto Porkchop, forcing him a little bit deep. Bottini takes 1. Will he take 2? No, Dr. Porkchop closes that opportunity. And look at this train developing behind Gabriel Frere. 5 cars in 1 shot. Chris Saunderson deep in turn 6 into the gravel he goes. Now's a good time to ride on board with Vladimir Beluga in his battle with Prakash Natasan up ahead in 8th. Can he get the move down the inside late on the brakes? Can he make it stick? Doesn't go deep. Back on the power right away, and he's got the move done. Can he maintain it though through the rest of Sector 2 and into turn 13? At Sector 3, runs a little bit wide. Prakash Natasan might have an inside line. Beluga closes that opportunity right away. But now it's into turn 13 they go. And once again, Beluga slices across to take away that line with Rally Duchy running deep. This might allow a move as Beluga gets hit from behind by the KTM of Hezi Thomas. Chris Saunderson also able to go through as well. So that is unfortunately a few positions lost for Vladimir Beluga on this lap. And this 6-car battle now turns into a 4-car battle. Rally Duchy leading the way ahead of Prakash Natasan and Chris Saunderson in the Audi Noir and stuff. Brian, welcome back to the podium. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you for your continued support. At Trackalicious, Beluga runs deep as we saw Saunderson do on the previous lap, but not quite as deep as the Audi went into the gravel, able to maintain it And back out on track comes the number 5, and that is your onboard lap with Vladimir Beluga. Quick check-in with the leaders. John Kilcoyne still ahead, but runs deep at 13. We've seen so many drivers do that at the final braking zone of the lap, pretty much. And now this might allow Josh Ransom a sneaky move into the race lead. The trouble for the Ginetta is using that straight line speed to its advantage, and just can't quite do it here into turn 1, trying to carry all the speed through the corner. Lots of turn changes. The inside goes to the outside, and Josh Ransom trying to take advantage of that, but no space given by the Aston Martin in front. Some slightly different lines going into turn 6 there. The Ginetta taking a pretty early apex, with the Aston taking a bit of a later line. Josh Ransom onto the grass, spinning and into the wall. No, lots of front end damage to the front of the 325 there, just drifting wide on the exit of turn 7, excuse me. And once again, we see the Ginetta go onto the grass and lose the rear end. Natasan now down the inside, side-by-side contact. Saunderson hopping over the curb and spinning Prakash Natasan around. A perfect 360 for him. He's able to just hit the gas and go after getting the engine restarted. And my goodness me, so much drama is unfolding here. So with that spin from Josh Ransom, Dr. Porkchop takes second. The lead for John Kilcoyne is 3.5 seconds over fellow Aston Martin Dr. Porkchop here. Then you've got JP Barretto moving up to that final podium position in third in his number 6 AMG. Giancarlo Bottini in 4th, and Gabriel Frere in 5th in the number 27 McLaren. Josh Ransom then in 6th after that spin. Chris Saunderson 7th. Rally Dutchy in 8th. Vladimir Beluga in 9th. And Prakash Natasan keeping him company behind in 10th place. Then you have Hezi Thomas in 11th. Pavel Luksha in 12th. And Christopher Douglas in 13th. Tight battle here between the two AMGs of Beluga and Prakash Natasan, but Beluga more worried about the car ahead. He wants that position, but in doing so goes a little bit deep in his efforts. He might be under attack here from Prakash Natasan halfway into the race. So much has happened so far. Will we see more of the same going into the sunset hours here at Indianapolis? So JP Barretto trying to get his favorite finishing position here once again. 2nd place. He's finished there 75% of the time up until tonight's race. Where will we see the Brazilian driver finish? Dr. Porkchop defended from John Kilcoyne all race in race number 1. Now has the AMG of JP Barretto behind this time. The trouble for these two is as soon as they start battling, that might reel Giancarlo Bottini into the battle as well, which we saw happen on a number of occasions in race number 1, where Bottini was just able to escape all of the contacts and just quietly work his way through to the front of the field. This is what it looks like on board from Barretto's AMG. Just slowly trying to reel that Aston Martin in front. But Dr. Porkchop, after switching from the Alpine to the Aston Martin this season, he has found a good bit of pace here, finishing on the podium a couple times already this season. Looking to add a few more to the mix here, but will it be second or will it be third? He runs a little bit deep into turn 6 on a little bit and gets a little bit offline, I should say, and compromises his exit a little bit for turn 7, but JP Barretto not quite close enough to take advantage of that. Two AMGs continuing to battle, with Vladimir Beluga defending 9th from Prakash Natasan, as the 82 looks to take the inside line. Beluga takes it away. And lining up a move now down the inside through turn 12, having to just tap the brakes with the number 5 slicing across there. Oh, and Beluga goes deep into turn 13. The 82, sticking to the racing line, takes the position up to 9th. Now looks to chase down Rally Duchy in the 621 Ginetta in 8th. Oh, and there's been a change of position here between Dr. Porkchop and JP Barretto. Let's see if we can take a look at how that happened here on the replay. The AMG just gets a blistering exit out of the final corner, lines up the Aston Martin before the start-finish line, and he just holds that position the whole way through. Dr. Porkchop trying to go late on the brakes, but just has to yield that inside position and can't get the over-under move done. And that's a good move lined up from the AMG. Down to 12 drivers. So now with JP Barretto released into some clean air, can they close down the gap to John Kilcoyne? It was around 3.5 seconds before the last time we checked, at least. Now it's down to 2.2. And after the spin earlier, Josh Ransom all over the back of Gabriel Frere in the number 27 McLaren. But we have seen the McLaren run away in a straight line, and it's doing much the same here. And Josh Ransom with the front end damage on the Ginetta, certainly hurting in the top speed department. But through the corners, the Ginetta definitely has the grip to keep up with the McLaren here. And can Josh Ransom recover back into the top 5 here? 3 minutes and some change left. Just a couple of laps for the Ginetta to work his way through. Oh, and nearly the same mistake that cost him a podium. Once again here, but able to keep it under control and keeping within touching distance of Gabriel Frere in front. Oh no, Gabriel Frere running deep through turn 13. Easy position gained for Josh Ransom. And Chris Saunderson in the number 18 isn't too far off this battling duo of cars here. There he is exiting the final corner, just 2.5 seconds behind. 2 laps to go now. John Kilcoyne in the lead and getting a few drifts in while he can. So John Kilcoyne here maintains a 2-second gap over JP Barreto after he took second place just a few laps ago. Can he ride this victory into the sunset? Just 1 lap remains. Just 1 2.5 mile trip around the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit for John Kilcoyne. From pole position, has led every lap so far. Just 1 lap left. JP Barreto close behind, and Dr. Porkchop there, all in one shot. Will this be the finishing order with just 1 lap remaining? The battle for the top 10 spot is on between Hezzy Thomas and Vladimir Beluga. KTM versus AMG. We saw them come into contact earlier in the race. Will we see some clean racing here between them this go around? As the 59 trying to fighting the grip of the car, almost having a look down the inside of turn 4, but not a heavy braking zone there to line up an overtaking opportunity. And continuing on through these slow corners, the KTM having a superior grip advantage to the AMG, and nearly bumper-to-bumper contact between Hezzy Thomas and Vladimir Beluga. And at the front, it's John Kilcoyne in the 44 Firebrand, taking his second podium finish of the night, improving from second to the top step here in race number 2. John Kilcoyne with the race win. JP Barreto next across the line. A great race from him, starting from 7th up to his favorite finishing position in second place. Dr. Porkchop, a couple of podiums for him this evening. third place in race number 1 and 2. Giancarlo Bottini finishes in 4th, Josh Ransom in 5th, and Chris Saunderson gets a position at the end here, up to 6th. Gabriel Frere crosses the line in 7th, Prakash Natasan in 8th place, Rally Dutchy 9th, and then Beluga and Hezi Thomas 10th and 11th place. And there is the entire grid basically finishing within about 20 seconds of each other. How about that for some close racing? As always, love to invite our podium sitters into the green room for a quick chat of your guys' race. Losing Pavel Luksha and Christopher Douglas there in race 2. And that concludes round number 3 on track. Back to the Trackalicious studio we go to close out the stream with the interviews from our podium sitters. Let's bring them in. Welcome, Dr. Porkchop. Welcome, Giancarlo Bottini. Welcome, John Kilcoyne. Welcome, the Firebrand team. And last but not least, João Pedro Barreto. Welcome in, everybody. How are you all doing this evening?
Hey, everybody!
Great. Hello, mate. Great.
Well, I don't even know where to start. Let's start. I guess we'll start with race 1. And we'll start with you, Giancarlo. Okay. Starting, I believe, from 5th, just taking full advantage of all the chaos around you, and up to P1 you go.
Yeah, over the last 24 hours has been non-stop technical problems. Everything was not working. VR gave out last night. Had to spend several hours fixing that. And earlier today was spending several hours trying to troubleshoot a connection to the server problem. So I'm just glad I could show up and race today. And
well, you made full advantage of that.
Happier it went well.
Yeah, you took full advantage of it here in race 1. And yeah, I want back to speaking more of race 1, that battle between the two Astons there, Dr. Porkchop and John Kilcoyne putting on a show there.
Yeah, that was
it was really fun. Oh, sorry.
No, from my perspective, that whole race, it was just my butt cheeks were clenched pretty much the whole race. Finished up, big sweat. Yeah, it was really, really tough. John's really fast, and trying to keep him behind was a struggle. And then trying to pass him was a struggle. Trying to keep him behind again was a struggle.
So what's crazy is I have this problem with my pedals to where occasionally, like, my brake pedal is loose, and occasionally it'll also screw up my gas pedal to where it'll, like, my accelerator will top out at like 85 to 90% sometimes. You know, it's like an on and off kind of issue. If that had happened on that last straight, you would have had me.
Yeah, it was. I think it was 39 thousandths of a second separating you guys there. One of the closest finishes we've seen. And so, yeah, just super epic stuff. And continuing it on into race number 2 there, John, you kind of had huge pace there in the second qualifying session, about 8 tenths clear of everybody, and kind of took that and didn't really look back.
Yeah, I don't really know why my car was a bit exceptionally fast. I don't know. It was just...
Maybe you had the opposite problem and it gave you 120% gas.
Yeah, it was really fun. The whole of race 2 was stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had some company behind there for a little bit. But yeah, just kind of maintaining the gap there. And at the end, JP Barreto almost caught up to you there. 2 seconds, I think, was the gap at the end. And once again, Dr. Porkchop defending for his life in race number 2.
He was really fast, and I knew he was going to catch up with me eventually. I was just praying that I could keep him behind me, and I didn't make any mistakes. But I did make a little mistake, and he totally jumped on it, and I couldn't catch up after that.
Yeah. You make a mistake on the only corner that you couldn't make a mistake was the last corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I could catch because my car does not have a straight speed. So I get it struggling with the tires in the first race. I get the pole position. I got 3 laps on the P1, but unfortunately, I made a mistake alone and throw my race away. So first of all, I want to apologize to Porkchop for hitting him on the race 2, but I gave the position back, so we are fine. And that's
We're
it.
good.
Yeah, it's always good to see all that
Yeah,
sportsmanship.
I think
Same to you, John. Yeah, you yielded that position too when you guys came into contact. So yeah, absolutely awesome to see the respect between you guys on and off the track. And thank you guys for joining us tonight. Congrats on the podium finish. John, you are our first multiple race winner of the season, and it took six races to do that. I think that's one of the longest streaks we've had of non-multiple race winners. So it's going to be super tight battle all the way to the end. Looking forward to what you guys bring in the rest of the championship.
Yeah, very good. And actually, the funny thing is, I just went to go see some GT4 racing IRL yesterday at the Roar before the 24 Hours of Daytona.
Nice.
Just yesterday. So it was really, really fun. I met some GT3 drivers that were like awesome in person. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's super fun. Yeah, super
So,
excited for all
really
that
nice
stuff.
winning after that. Yeah.
Yeah, congrats to you guys. I'll move you back here to the green room. Thanks again for joining us tonight. Hope to have you back here once again in the remaining rounds. Lots of support for the Firebrand squad in the chat. Love to see that. And if you enjoyed the racing tonight, join us again at Trackalicious for some more racing across all of the other series. LMU on Tuesdays in their GT3 Sprint Series. Then on Wednesdays, we take it back to ACC in the GT3 and GT4 multi-class 75-minute race series. Thursday, we go to iRacing for the GT3 and GT4 mixed championship. On Friday, it's the LMU mixed championship with the hypercars and the GT3s in their longer endurance style races. I say endurance, but it's about an hour long. And then Saturday, we get a break. And on Sundays, we throw it to iRacing for the MX5 Cup. And if you want to get yourself signed up for any of those, signups are always open on SimGrid. Join the Discord for all of the latest news and information about any of the upcoming series or fun events that Trackalicious may host throughout the rest of the year. We are going to give a big Trackalicious raid to our friend Sim Greg. He's got some fun, casual streams. Great guy. Likes to hang out in iRacing. Give him the love he deserves from one sim racing community to another. Hope you guys enjoyed the action this evening. Thank you, as always, to the admins, moderators, stewards, and all of the people doing the hard work in the background to keep all of these series running. Thanks to all of the drivers and all of you guys watching along. We wouldn't be here without you. So thank you, as always, for joining us. Stick around for the raid. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you may be watching us from, and we will catch you next time.